Okay, amazing. So hi everyone, welcome to our Web3.js Ambassadors Coffee Chat number 6. Today we have Yusuf, the DevRel of Superfluid. Thank you so much for coming, Yusuf. I would like to start the call today actually introducing three of our new guys today, which will be Pashal Mashudu. Oh yeah, Mashudu. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly. And Rohan. So if you can start with a short intro of yourself, guys, so the other ambassadors are able to get to know you a little bit. Maybe Pashal, can you start, please?
All right. It's afternoon over here, so I'll just say good afternoon. And it's actually pronounced Pascal and not Pascal. It's a
Oh,
Latin
okay.
name, by the way. Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. I don't know what it is for you guys. My name is Pascal. I'm happy to be one of you guys now. I'm really thrilled for what we have and what I can offer as well. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Mashudu?
Cool. Hey guys, good afternoon. Mashudi here, um, from South Africa. Um, yeah, I don't know what else I need to say, but like, nice to meet you all. Um, Looking forward to getting to know you all and connecting to figure out how we could possibly collaborate and stuff.
Amazing. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you so much, Mashudu. And Rohan, yeah, this is your second call too. So feel free to introduce yourself. Nice to see you
Uh,
again.
yeah, thank you. Hey, hi everyone. I am Rohan Kapse. I am from India, and currently I'm pursuing my engineering right now in third year. So a bit of experience. I have a bit of experience in Web 2 and building some cool things and web apps. And 3 4 months back, I started in exploring Web 3, how Ethereum works and all that. So yeah, here I am. So super excited to talk to you all, and yeah, looking forward to a lot of exciting things. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Rohan. It was actually funny because Rohan got here because of Twitter. I remember that you post something on Twitter and then I just commented on that. It was something about Cypher, right?
Yeah. Right. Actually, I suggested a change to Cypher. So I think that's how we got to know each other. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and then you apply, and now we are here. So that's great. The power of networking and Twitter. Um, okay, so thank you guys for introducing yourselves. Now we can just start with Joseph. So if you want, just start with a short intro of yourself as well, and then I will just ask you some questions that will come along the way. So yeah, the floor is yours, Joseph.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's great to talk to you all today, and very cool to talk to the Web3.js community. So I'm Youssef. I come from background of engineering. I did a bunch of things before in my life. Worked a little bit in aerospace and consulting. Grew up in Morocco. Lived in France for a while. And yeah, so now I live in Lisbon. I work in crypto. I've been working in crypto for the last 2 3 years. And I've been working at Superfluid as a developer relations lead for the last year. Yeah, so I'm not sure how familiar you are with developer relations jobs, but like just like what Santi does. Maybe I do less workshops and external stuff, but I still do some of those. We organize hackathons, write documentation, write examples for Superfluid. I can get more into Superfluid, but I assume it's going to be one of the questions, so maybe not. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, actually, let's start more with your how you got into Web3. I remember something to give you some context, guys. Web3.js was doing something with Superfluid, and then I was having a meeting with Joseph, and then I noticed that we were living in the same city. We were just living really like close to each other, and then we just went for dinner, and then that's how we met um, in Lisbon. But maybe tell us a little bit about what were you doing before you get into Web3.
Yeah, so I got my engineering degree back in, I think, 2018, 17. I went and worked in aerospace for a while, and then I realized people there were incredibly passionate about, aerospace, about airplanes, I was working satellites as well, just a little bit later on, and I realized I was not I was not that passionate. These people were like very much aerospace nerds. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I want to try something else. I liked the aspect of like building products and stuff, so I wanted to do more generalized stuff. So I did this master's degree in innovation management on the side, and then I switched into consulting. And consulting is great because you see a lot of things, but you do a lot of talking and a lot of like non like practical stuff, which at some point it gets a little bit boring because you're really like talking to people and doing a lot of maybe the technical specs and stuff. So that's what I was doing, but I was not necessarily going there and like coding, building product. On the side, I was still like coding just for fun with friends, and doing the hackathon from time to time. But in my day-to-day job, I was basically not, aside from like looking at architectures and giving some advice here and there, like or thinking more about the product cycle. I was not necessarily getting into the technical details, but I did that, and I worked even during COVID. So that was great because I don't think I would have survived 3 years in consulting if it wasn't for COVID, because you would have to go to the office every day and wearing a suit and everything. So it was perfect. I worked during COVID at consulting, and then of course 2020. I was interested in crypto before, just like from an interest perspective, but 2020 is when I really dived in, since we had also time. During COVID, there wasn't much to do, especially in Paris. It was like completely very strict. So I was just working and doing research in DeFi's DeFi summer, looking at all these mechanics, watching all the videos, reading all the stuff. And then I started doing Solidity development just because it was fun and I wanted to understand the technology better. I wanted to, have an edge in the market or whatever, and like understand the tech deeper. So I did that, and back then there was a lot of demand, obviously, for smart contract developers. So I did some freelance work, smart contracts development, specifically, some like staking contracts, just like things that are very, very useful for everybody. And then I did this boot camp. So every time I get interested in something, I try to get some official education in it, I guess. It's not, I don't think it's the best way to do it, but like it's just, for me, I need some structure. So I did this bootcamp with Consensus, which was very heavy, and it's kind of sad that they don't do it anymore. But I think that's probably the best bootcamp that existed ever for Web3 development and learning blockchain, because it's very intense. You get access to a lot of great engineers from Open Zeppelin, from Consensus, from stuff like that, and you do like these projects eventually. And so I did that, which was time consuming, given that I was also working consulting at the same time and trying to do a bunch of stuff and NFT summer and whatever. But still, like, I tried to do it, and I did the hackathon afterwards. And I went on and quit my job. I started JPEGs, which was and cross-chain NFT rentals market. So back in early 2022, the blockchain gaming market was flourishing, obviously, and there was the Axie Infinity that was just happened, and so the NFT renting market made sense from a numbers perspective. Since then, we've built a product. I think we got to testnet somewhere late. Sometime we got audited sometime late 2022, and by that time, the market was already destroyed. Like the blockchain gaming market was already destroyed with a bunch of other stuff. But still, we went through this accelerator and built a product. Did a few integrations, and then it was obvious that the time to market was not right. And I'm glad that we stopped back then. We stopped, I think, in March 2023, because to this day, I see like even projects like raised money back in 2022 for NFT rentals. It's just that they're struggling to find any type of BMF. So from there, I did some freelancing. I was looking for a job for a while, like something really good. I did, some contractor work here and there. I worked a little bit, with some projects in Polkadot, just because these are some of the friends I had here in Lisbon. And then I was talking to Superfluid for like months, see if there's a fit. And then it wasn't even for a DevRel position. Initially, it was for an integrations engineer position. And then they were like, okay, well, we're not going to hire for an integrations engineer anymore. But like, if you want, you can be a DevRel. I was like, okay, cool. All I want to be able to use my technical skills to do some development and also my business skills. So I want a role where I can use both. And DevRel, yeah, seemed fun. Seemed like something that I could do also at other companies, like integrations engineer. Sure, there's like solutions engineer and integrations engineers. There's like positions like that in crypto. They do exist, but DevRel is like, it's a cult, right? Like it's a vibe. So it's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, that's true. It makes sense. So I have a question. Were you wearing suits before when you were working in
I was
consulting?
wearing suits. I was actually working at the tallest like skyscraper in Paris, like the biggest one, the
Oh,
tallest
really?
one in France. It was at EY, and it's like you would wear a suit, you meet partners and stuff. Um, yeah, but I didn't do that much, and I was like one of those consultants. I just almost never went to the office, just because I did my job well, and so my manager was like, okay, I'm not gonna bother him. He's doing his thing. So I would go in the office like once every week at most. And yeah, my colleagues are always like, it's like office politics, right? Like it's just big companies, office politics, like, oh, we haven't seen you in a while and blah blah. But yeah, I would wear a suit. It was fun. Once a week is
Okay,
fun. Every day
that's
it's exhausting.
interesting.
Yeah.
To see you wearing a suit like after I always see you with the wearing sandals is just
It's
funny
wild, right?
image. Yeah, I know. I have another question. Like you were talking that you created like the project of the NFT. Maybe can you tell us a little bit about that project? How did you get the idea to build the project? What was the project itself? How was the process of auditing the project? Yeah, just tell us a little bit more about that entrepreneurship experience in Web3.
Yeah.
How
So
did you get the funding?
yeah. So I was we did a hackathon in Avalanche Summit, I think, 2022 with a friend. He's a friend who went with me to university, engineering school, and so I knew him before, and so we did this hackathon, and we built this NFT rentals market, and we got a prize from Coinbase, and so yeah, it was just very much fun. And when we looked at the metrics of the market, like backwards, it seemed to be interesting as a market to work on. And also there was like this whole meta of like, okay, you're going to be able to move your assets from one place to another, from one game to another, but like these games were fragmented on different blockchains, and so it made sense that you want something that was cross-chain, that could like, bring the assets from one place to another seamlessly. And so we met the XLR team. I think it was in Paris Blockchain Web Summit, Paris Blockchain Week Summit or something. And yeah, we met the XLR team. They were developing this modular architecture, obviously, back then, and it made sense that we work with them. So we started working with XLR team, I think, in June. And then from there, like they gave us a small grant, and then since we were cross chain, so we were talking to multiple blockchains, and they were giving us grants. We got grant from Near, from I think BNB Chain, from Moonbeam, and then XLR as well. So it's like we use these grants to bootstrap, pay for development, and XLR also helps us with giving us an audit. So they had this contract with an auditor that they, with a bunch of days. So they audited our smart contract later on. And we were talking to partners that needed some cross-chain functionality. So Moonbeam were big on it back then. So that's why I know also the Polkadot ecosystem pretty well, because I worked with Moonbeam closely. Moonbeam had this idea of like becoming the modular blockchain between Polkadot and other EVMs, which I think is a cool idea, but like practically the Polkadot ecosystem is not there yet in terms of like the using the cross-chain capabilities inside Polkadot. But that's a whole different the topic. But yeah, this is how it works. And we had a small team. Like it was me, my co-founder, one developer, and a business development, who's part-time, and also a designer part-time. So I was doing some smart contract development, and our developer was doing front end, and we had also back end developer for a while. So I was getting no salary. My co-founder either was getting no salary. I was just paying the other people in the company, and it was very much fun. But and then we did a accelerator, and at some point we could have tried to raise a small round to like keep going, but it just seemed that unless we hardly pivot, like we do a hard pivot to somewhere where it's like completely different market, where we're just going to be dabbling somewhere where it's like the market is too small. It's just doesn't make any sense to keep going. Looking at the revenues, even of our competitors who are like in blockchain gaming, or even like people who build rental solutions inside their games. So big games that have rental solutions inside, look at the fees they're making. It's rentals, so you have to take big fees like 10%. But even then, it's not enough to kind of justify a project. It wasn't big enough, so we just kind of stopped.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Now I'm going to ask you some questions related to DevRel, but let's just take like a screenshot now. Malima, Gideon, Mashudu, Ajush, are you there? Are you able to turn on the camera? Okay, the other guys? Malima, Gideon. Okay, Gideon, nice to see your face again. Okay, Malima, what happened with Malima? Where is Malima? He's always online. And Mashudu. Okay, so then let's just take a screenshot like that. Okay, so I will count to 3, and then you guys smile or do whatever you want, any type of face. And this will go to Twitter. Okay, so 1, 2. Oh, okay, Mashudu is here. Malima, you're the only one missing. Okay, let's take it. 1, 2, 3. Okay, amazing. Look great. Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys. Let me just put it here. Okay, perfect. Okay, now let's just dive a little bit into DevRel. Some of the questions that we have from the ambassadors here, we have 4 questions. Okay, if I'm starting a career as a DevRel, what do you think is the best kind of roadmap to get started?
I mean, it depends where it started from, right? Like it's hard to, it's easy for me to come here and say, oh, you can come and just like, oh, just learn some Solidity and go and apply and whatever.
Okay, so yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, so then let's put it, I know basic Solidity and basic JavaScript. What should I do?
Do you have any other professional experience before?
Ooh,
Or
okay,
are you just a student, right?
You are going to dive into the question. Let's say that professional experience as a developer, like
Okay.
some basic developer stuff. Yeah.
Web 2 developer. Like
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Okay, that's a good start. Now, when you're hiring, I mean, I have no idea, right? Like I'm not the one who hired me, but like I would assume that when you're hiring for a dev role, obviously you're gonna look at their technical ability and specifically like how quickly can they learn different things, right? Like if you're a dev role, you don't want them to be necessarily an expert, but like it's a jack of all trade, master of none, right? Kind of thing. So you want them to like be able to learn, documentation frameworks very easily. You want them to be able to dabble with like multiple languages very easily, and to be, open for anything. But what you also really want them to be is like someone who is not necessarily extroverted, but like has the ability to be extroverted if needed, has the ability to be nice and smiley, and like has a long, is okay to like give a lot of themselves to help other developers, and has a big amount of empathy to kind of understand, okay, this may be hard for everyone, and doesn't get mad or not very much judgmental about like how bad a developer is, like kind of that kind of vibe. Also, you want them to be good communicators, right? Like in the languages that you want them to speak at, like if it's English or any other language. So these are the skills that are going to be important for companies when they hire for DevRels, specifically if they don't have a DevRel in-house. So if you don't have a DevRel in-house, in your mind, like what is a DevRel? You don't know. Like if you're a founder, or like you have never been a DevRel, in your mind, it's like, oh, this is the guy who needs to be a little bit fun, a little bit, can communicate, and also has some technical skills. So that's basically what you want to show. I think what could come in handy as well is understanding products, understanding how startups work, all the lingo, like get your lingo right, like go to market strategy. What is a go to market strategy, right? Like what is I don't know, all these like lingo that you hear from startups is very important in crypto, just to show that like, okay, you can understand what we're talking about. You have the full vision strategy of the company in mind when you're doing your DevRel work, right? Like, okay, we can all get busy, but like, are you being busy doing things that are moving the needle? And for that, you want to see that someone actually has an understanding of like how a startup works, or like how a tech startup works in general. Like, what are we trying to do here? I think these are things that are important, at least for me, but it depends. But I think the best way in crypto in general, like to get involved, if you don't have any experience, you have no one to show you around, is do work and maybe get involved in these communities and stuff like that. I didn't do that just because I knew people in real life already. But like just go and get involved, do things. If you have extra time, contribute to open source, talk to people, build a project. Like build a project on top of Superfluid, for example, and then you come talk to me, and then we have this conversation. The day we're hiring, I'll keep you in mind, right? Like then that's and you can build it through a hackathon. Like you don't have to put out of your time for free or whatever. Just like whatever, we have hackathons, or like all projects have hackathons right now. Build on top of a hackathon, be very close, show that you're different, and people would consider you, I think, when they're hiring, right? So.
That's true. Okay, that's a really good point. Now I have one more specific for you. So what skills do you need, for example, to be a DevRel at Superfluid? I guess it will be like the answer or something more specific regarding protocol solidity, or I don't know, but specifically for DevRel at Superfluid.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what we're trying to do at a certain point in time. Now, for me, at least personally, I think, but it's also because I have a big degree of freedom. So I take the DevRel side wherever I want, right? Like I can try to push it for us to do more talks and more like events and stuff, and we will be doing more of this in the next few months. But I personally like to, at the very least, do some amount of like coding or like docs work for 50 to 60% of my time, at the very least. So my sweet spot is like 70% of my time. I'm like mostly coding, doing docs work, working on developer experience, just because I think the most dangerous thing that can happen for a protocol is to get developer attention at some point, and their developer experience, the developer tooling is not good enough, which we could face even today at Superfluid. So you don't get developer attention all the time. So at best, maybe if you're blockchain or protocol, depending on how much money you have, how much money you're willing to spend marketing, things like that, and all these things, you will get developer interest at like a month. Or, it depends. If you launch a token, you get developer interest. There are like moments in time when you get some user traction, you get a lot of developer interest. So those times are when you bank on the developer interest so that your developer experience is good enough to, get these people into your ecosystem. And once like a developer is already developed using Superfluid once or twice, then they're part of the ecosystem, and then you can like send them communications later. Then it's a lot easier for them to come in and develop on Superfluid because they think, oh, I already know how to do it. This is a hackathon. This is something I can do it. I can go in. So that's why I think developer experience is very much a lot of the times underrated in blockchain. We always like focus on these events where we're trying to make a lot of noise or stuff, and then you look at the developer experiences. Some of the times it's just not that good. So I think for Superfluid, it's also a different paradigm, and it's a little bit of a complicated protocol. So hopefully you're technical enough. Hopefully you don't shy away from complication. Math, all that stuff. Like you're comfortable with that. And then after that, we have a lot of integrations with like big protocols, like optimism and stuff like that. So you want to be able to yeah, just a little bit more. There's a more formal aspect to the DevRel work of Superfluid when you're dealing like with Gitcoin and Optimism. Like these are big organizations. These are people, like a lot of the people who work there. Many times they come from like big tech, or like they come from big corporations. Like it's a little bit more corporate when you're dealing with these people than when you're dealing with like a small NFT project on some chain, right? Like
Yeah.
this is yeah.
Yeah, it's more like B2B. That's a little bit more formal, or at least
Yeah, it does have a little bit of a formal aspect, and for me it's fine because I worked in consulting with like only big companies, but this is like barely any formal. Like the formalities I had before is a lot bigger, but you need a little bit of that, like a little bit of like corporate lingo, know how to deal with like more serious older people, right? But I think these are the two aspects really that are needed for Superfluid mostly. The rest is just like we don't need people that are very highly skilled at like creating crazy hackathons or like very fascinating workshops. We're not a blockchain, right? Like blockchains need to do a lot of like throwing around or like attracts in projects. That's all they do. Like we don't need that. We need an ecosystem, but we're not here trying to attract everyone, and like we have very specific niches we're looking for.
Okay, that's really important to note. Yeah, you're just not trying to conquer the whole like Web3,
Yeah.
but just the specific like quality over quantity, we'll say. Makes sense. Makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense. Another question here: as a DevRel in a company where the role doesn't exist, how you can convince the stakeholder to support the program?
Oh, okay. Oh, that is a good point.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know, but like what I think is that, you know, one thing that founders like, when you're working in a space where basically there is very little PMF, right? Like we're in blockchain, like in the traditional sense of like, okay, is a company profitable? That is rare in crypto. Like today, we can think about like outside of speculation, for example, things like pumped up fund and even Uniswap. You can argue it's a speculation tool, right? There are things like prediction markets, SocialFi maybe has some sort of PMF, but other than that, there's this meme in blockchain. It's like the token is the product, or like there's no, like we're not
Sorry,
trying.
a question. Sorry, what is PMF?
Oh, sorry. It's
You're using your corporate lingo with me. I'm not. I'm
Yeah,
not a
sorry.
consultant.
So this is what I meant by like having the startup lingo. But this
Yeah.
is what I learned, being a founder. Like this is why it was cool being a founder, because you learn all these like things. It's product market fit. So product market fit is like when, I don't know, when a product you create, you try to iterate on it, try to make new products every time. You try to learn from the market, and then at some point you find like, oh, your product found the market that fits, and then boom, it's like explosion, like Uber, or like when they found their market, or like Airbnb when they found their market, boom. Like you try to iterate as a startup. That's like the traditional startup model, right? In blockchain, a lot of the projects, I mean, most projects that don't have product market, like they're not profitable. Like we're not making fees, and this is also a way to fund open source. So where am I getting with that? It doesn't take much to impress, I guess, the founders, or like the people who are higher up, to convince them. So if you can get some traction, then you can show that like, okay, I know what I'm doing and I can get traction. And then in general, people are very much willing to let you do what you like. They're very busy. They're like, okay, you do your thing, like as long as it works. But you have to show it works, right? Like you have to show that you're motivated, that you know what you're doing, and show just some results. And then once you do that, they're like, okay, well, fine, you do your thing. And then yeah, at least for me. But like, I don't know, it depends on the people. This also comes back to like the soft skills and how like interpersonal relationships are. How do you know how to manage them or not? So.
Okay. Yeah, that was a hard question, to be honest.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know. Yeah, because it's really hard to find the relation between profit and DevRel sometimes, depending on the product, right? But yeah, and I think that's one of the main things to convince stakeholders, like how a DevRel program will generate more revenue to the company. And sometimes it's not like really easy to find that.
Yeah,
Those
but
dots.
that's not just a DevRel thing. That's companies
Yeah.
that don't have PMF thing. So it's like, if you ask any department, like marketing or operations or like engineering, like, oh, how can you, like, can you tie whatever you're doing to profit? They can't. Like, it's just because
No.
it's very hard to find. It's different models in blockchain.
Yeah, I agree. Makes sense. We have okay, two more questions related to DevRel before we jump into Superfluid. What was the strategy that you used in creating a working developer relation? I don't know if no, this was similar to another one. That's fine. That's the same. Okay, this one from Ayush. Based on your entrepreneurial experience and stay in the Web3 space, what do you think, which domains will be growing like in Web3? Like for example, gaming, finance, etc.
I have no. I mean, the cycles are getting shorter and shorter of like what are the things that are being hyped, and what are the things that are like the topic du jour kind of thing. Here's a controversial thing. I think if you're a Web3 developer coming into blockchain right now, maybe reconsider going into Solid. Like, if you like the Ethereum ecosystem, of course, I love the Ethereum ecosystem. I think you should join. But maybe look at other ecosystems, right? Like maybe look at other languages. Maybe look at Solana, right? Learn Rust and like do some Solana. Maybe look at Move, right? I think it's more. There's more fun things happening on that side. Not to say that there's not. There's amazing things happening in Ethereum ecosystem, poly market. So everyone's talking like prediction markets right now, and I think the prediction markets like domain has a lot of potential in terms of, for example, there's these protocols that are trying to be built right now in poly market. So you have a position in like prediction market, and you can use that in DeFi, and there's a lot of interplay that's going to happen there that could be interesting for people who are like interested in finance or, just DeFi in general. I think that's where a lot of the innovation is going to happen. But if you're looking for new things that are a little bit on like edgy, on the crazy side, then yeah, you could go to like these other ecosystems. If you're more like of a nerdy person and you want to like dig into like the science and research of it, then of course you can work on ZK. That has a lot of potential. Other thing that I see, I think has massive potential is the Bitcoin ecosystem. So looking at Bitcoin, if we can have, so there's these people trying to push like some changes to the Bitcoin protocol to make it so like we can build better trust minimized bridges from Bitcoin to layer twos on Bitcoin, which means that like at some point you can have easy liquidity flow from Bitcoin to its layer twos. And that's a killer use case. So if you can build on a layer two that is fast enough and good enough and blah blah and secure enough and like inherits the security of Bitcoin and gets like all the benefits of like all the liquidity that exists in Bitcoin and all the legitimacy and the institutional legitimacy, why would you build on an Ethereum layer two? That's that's so it's a question that was asked. Yeah, so Bitcoin ecosystem is great, and the cross-chain space is also very interesting. I love the cross-chain space. It's like it's very complicated technically. It's bad. Like the technical readiness of like the cross-chain space is just so bad, which is exciting because there's so many things to do. Like the uphill battle is massive. Like how do you make, for example, seamless integrations of like cross-chain applications in between the layer twos on Ethereum? The fragmentation is a big aspect today. How do you do like blockchain abstraction? All these problems are very exciting to me, specifically the cross-chain problem. So I think all these problems are very exciting for the future, but it depends. What do you like? So do you want to work on the application layer? Do you want to work on the protocol layer? Do you want to work in ZK? Do you want to do fun stuff? If you want to do fun stuff, go to Solana, go to Move, go to these edgy ecosystems. Don't go somewhere where like too risky. I think maybe not like Say Network. Cosmos is a bit like kind of crazy. But yeah, Solana and like Move seem like a good good ecosystems. There's a lot of innovation happening. So
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you so much for your views on that. Another one is, do you have any advice for DevRels to prepare or give technical workshops?
I make it fun. Like just make people laugh. Like add a funny video. For example, like I was giving a workshop about Solana stuff to my internally, and it's like just put in some like funny memes or like how Solana people make fun of Ethereum. Like this video that was made by Super Team, make like about like this Ethereum people needing multiple layer. I don't know if you've seen this funny video, but anyway, you can check it out later. Um, so you can make it fun. I think if you make people laugh, it gets boring, right? A workshop. So make people laugh, make it weird, make it fun, and people you can keep their attention, But yeah.
Okay, that's a great advice, because yeah, some of the ambassadors that are here in Lagos and Nairobi, they will give some workshops with me in the Web3JS Africa tour. So now you know an answer. Make the workshop fun. Try to put some memes, and everyone will be engaged. Because at the end of the day, is delivering the content that you want in a funny way, so they can be engaged. Because if they're not engaged, you lost the depth.
Yeah, you can't lose them. So if you lose them for a second, you lost them, right? Like if you lose them for once, you lost them for the rest of presentation. Because if they don't follow like one very important piece of information for the rest of the workshop, they're just not following. So it's very critical not to lose people's attention. And yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Perfect. Okay, now about Superfluid. Yeah, we talk about DevRel and your life, but tell us a little bit about Superfluid. What is Superfluid? I also saw a tweet about Superfluid Frontier Guild, so maybe you can also tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, Superfluid is a lot of things, but Superfluid is a money streaming protocol initially. So money streaming is this technology where the way I try to explain it easily is instead of, so say for example, you have a subscription that is $100 per month. Instead of sending $100 every month, you start this stream. You start a stream which is like just a flow of money second by second, block by block. You get that money. So instead of like sending $100, the $100 gets you know, chopped block by block and sent. So you don't need a new transaction for each one. Maybe I'll go a little bit deeper how it works and why and how it's designed so that people can understand even more. Assuming that people are probably, you know, generally technical in this call, right?
Yeah.
So when you're sending money, when you're doing the transfer through ERC20, you're calling the transfer function, and it just like transfers $100 from one person to the other, right? With Superfluid, we don't. So for that, to do that for ERC20s, you store balances on chain. So I store my balance, and then I store your balance, and when I transfer you $100, we update the balance, we update the ledger, right? We update the state for the ERC20 contract. Superfluid, we have these things called super tokens. They're ERC20 compatible, but they have this additional functionality where the balance is not stored, it's calculated out of like a bunch of parameters. So you have basically 3 parameters that you need. So instead of storing the balance, we store these 3 things. We store your balance. So instead of like storing balance every time, we store your balance at the last change. So keep that in mind. I'll talk about it later. That's the first one. The second one, we store the timestamp of the last change. Okay, so this is the second one. And the third one is what we actually change. So it's the flow rate. So the flow rate is like how much tokens per second I want to send you. It's in way per second. So how much, for example, I want to send you like 100 USDC per month, then I convert that to how much way, right? Like the smallest scale of unit of a token per second, right? And once I did that, so what's being stored is the timestamp, the balance at the last timestamp, at that same timestamp, and the flow rate. So once you have that, you have a linear function where you can calculate at any point in time what is your balance, right? And the formula is simple. It's like the balance at that last timestamp, you know, plus the flow rate times, you open the parenthesis, this moment in time minus the last timestamp. And that's it. It's a linear function, right? And then I can calculate your balance at any point in time. So whenever I query the function balance of a certain address on chain, it calculates that. And it also aggregates all the flow rates of everyone. You're sending, what they're sending, blah, blah. And that's why Superfluid is a little bit gas heavy, because it's like when you're even transferring tokens, normal transfer, you need to call balance of. You need to check the balance of a certain address. And for you to do that, you need to aggregate all the streams that are coming in and coming out. And we also have these distribution pools that you need to aggregate as well. And it gives you this balance. And that's the balance you use to do these transfers. So that's Superfluid, basically. Like, we're more than money streaming. We're like a token infrastructure protocol, which has these, it's token centric. So we have these super tokens, and we add a bunch of stuff to it, like streaming, and then we have distribution pools. And distribution pools is what it is like, it's a pool. You have members in the pool. You can have millions of members in the pool, and you allocate shares to these members, so units. And then once these members have shares, you can send a stream to the pool, and the pool like diverges the stream to all the members according to how many shares they have. And that like scales transfers and scales money streaming. Like, for example, Optimism, they're using it for RPGF, right? Like, they're using it for their grants program. They're using distribution pools, or just maybe money stream. I think they're using distribution pools, and it just goes there. Like, you send the stream to the distribution pool, and according to how many units these people have in the pool, it just goes to all these members. So it's good for staking and grants, and we're using it for the guild, which I can talk about a bit later. I actually would love to talk about it. But yeah, so this is Superfluid. I can go more into details if you have more detailed questions.
Okay, I think that was pretty clear. If someone has any question, feel free to raise the hand or put it in the spreadsheet, and that would be fine. Yeah, maybe tell us a little bit about the guild that you have.
Yeah, so the guild actually uses distribution pools. So the guild is like, instead of, we were thinking of doing a hackathon, right? And every time with hackathons is you don't have much control over the quality of the projects that are going to be submitted eventually, right? Like you launch a hackathon and you try to promote it as much as you can, and then eventually you get something. And those things are like, you get what you get, right? Like sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. There's so many circumstances that come with it. So the ROI is not clear in hackathons. Instead of doing that, we did this little experiment back in May so we have this technology, which is distribution pools. So what we did is that we have a stream. It's a big stream, like a $10,000 a month, what we had before. Now we're having like $15,000 a month. So it's a big stream, like $15,000 a month. That's going to start at some point. And then we do demo days every 2 weeks. And then these demo days, you have judges. They come every 2 weeks. Like we have different judges. We have internal judges, which is us, but like we also invite people from, founders by economy. We have people from Farcaster, like from all of our ecosystem friends and like projects and people that are interested in Superfluid. And what they do is that they vote for you every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks you need to present something. You need to show what you did. You need to, show your advancement and show how cool your app is. And these votes, these units that they allocate to you, so we're going to be limiting them to like 3 projects max. Like every judge, for example, can vote for only 3 projects, and they have a certain amount of units. Say they have like 10 units each judge, and they allocate these units to the developers in the guild. And according to how many units you get like a bigger share of the stream. So these units like represent your shares in like the big stream, right? Like compared to all the other participants. And so every week, if you do well, you get bigger stream. If you don't do as much as well, you get a smaller stream. And so it's fun because it's like developers are like, if they don't do well for like 2 weeks, they see their stream shrink. They get less. Like they used to get like $800 a month. Now they're getting 500. They're like, oh, fuck. Like next time I need to be very careful, and I need to do something really well and present something so that I see like the number go up, right? And so it's like, it gives you this like continuous accountability. Another thing is with the hackathons is like you have a lot of hackers and people come in and just like they just want to do a little thing and then they go, right? If you want to keep them accountable, a stream is great because they see the money pouring in. And if they're not responsive, they don't participate anymore. If they just like go on vacation for like 2 weeks, then yeah, the stream stops. So it's like you don't get any money coming in anymore. So it feels bad, right? Like it's all about this dopamine hit of like seeing the money go up and seeing the money go down. Of like, okay, well, if I'm doing well, then the money goes up. If I'm doing not so well, money goes down. And we're actually building the smart contracts for that, and in the front end and the product, so we can actually like productize it or like open source it for other people to use the same mechanism if they want for their hackathons. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that sounds really good. Yeah, I agree with that what you say about the hackathon, and this system is just like a more effective way of distributing the funds because you're just basically paying for something, for a result, right?
Yeah, aligning incentives too, right? Like I want you to keep building. I want to see if you're going in the direction where, we're not necessarily going to impose to developers what to do, but there's clearly a direction where we would like things to go. And if you're not going that direction, you're going to get less votes over time.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But it's like, it's a continuous way of like motivating as opposed to like, well, you give us this and we give you this prize and then goodbye, right?
Yeah, it's more like a builder's program to keep engaged and
Exactly.
keep building for the long term. I think that's better because a lot of things in the ecosystem are just like one off and then bye, and then we disappear.
And one thing that we also trying to push for, like apps, cool. You want to build an app on top of Superfluid, that's fine. And we like apps, and there are apps in the ideas that we provide. But also, what are the tools that are going to be useful for us? Like just super token deployers, things like that, just like small things that are going to be always useful, just like small things that are going to remain like public goods forever. You know, frames on Farcaster that are going to be like a guide about, or
Yeah.
like a small little game about like Web3.js. You could do that, right? Like this is fun and good, and it's going to be useful. An app built on Superfluid that like it's ads or like something that's never going to go to market, is it useful? It's a lot of the times it's not, because building an app is cool, but like how are you going to take it to market? That's the whole point.
Yeah, that's true. That makes sense. Actually, now that you mentioned this, dApps, that's an opening for the next question. Which type of dApps can I build on top of Superfluid? And maybe how long is this the learning curve for this, for me to be able to go to the docs after the call and read Superfluid and be able to make a dApp? Like that is something that will take me 1 month, 1 day, 1 hour, like for something simple, like getting started.
I think there are a
Yeah,
lot of
like
code. Go ahead.
assuming that I know JavaScript and Solidity.
Yeah. Um, it's I mean, Superfluid, the problem is not necessarily the tooling. The thing is like your mental framework. So you need to kind of adapt to the fact that like you're working with flows and flow rates, and like managing all these things could be a little bit complicated. But I would say if you have no experience with Superfluid, like realistically, getting an actual like dApp to work, very simple one, it could go from 2 days to a week. So there are code snippets there in the docs and like quick starts and stuff like that that could get you started in like an hour or so. But it's just smart content. You can obviously, there are repos that already work off the go, and I can show that. But for you to build something personal, like what do you want to build, it will take, depending how like easy and how skilled you are, it might take a week, it might take obviously a month and so. But like I think realistically, if you have like 1-2 years experience with Solidity and 1-2 years experience with like, you know, React and stuff, I'd say a week. A week is a reasonable time to kind of get started and build something that is just easy and simple and, you know, works well.
Okay, actually, that's not bad. I thought it was even like more complex. But yeah, like
Depends what you're trying to do. It could get very complex.
yeah, that's depending on the idea. But at least to be able
Yeah.
to use the protocol,
Yeah.
that's the first thing. Then after you know the protocol, you can get more complex idea.
Yeah,
But yeah,
exactly. Exactly.
at least to get started with that. Okay, that's great. And then I have here the last question about, okay, do you find networking events helpful for maybe for Superfluid or for yourself? Do you find them helpful? Do you attend any networking events? What do you think about those things?
I think they're certainly helpful. Now, it's always a matter of like, okay, where is the networking event? And if I have to travel for like 2 weeks, and then like, okay, well, what is the ROI on this? They're helpful, but like they're maybe not as helpful as other people in crypto seem to think they are. It's
So
easy to get
what
to
do
reach out anybody in the industry. Like, why do I have to need to like? It's cool to network and meet people. It's fun. It's good for me as a person. Like for Superfluid, just like if I want to reach out to any protocol, like we know someone who knows someone. It's like
yeah,
why do we need to?
online?
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, so yeah, that will make more sense for us for Yusef, but not for really Superfluid. Then what do you think that can be the best way to reach a bigger audience? Maybe through Twitter, through YouTube videos or articles. What do you think?
Oh, developer audience.
Yeah,
I don't know that anyone has cracked this problem. Like, how do you get developers that are not interested in your protocol with no money? So if you incentivize hackathons and stuff, yeah, then it's fine. But with no money, and how do you like spark their interest so that they could go and play with your? I don't know that we've cracked this. I think one way that we've cracked this as Superfluid is having very strong ambassadors. So having very strong community members that go and do the promotion. Because if I'm shilling you Superfluid, you're like, well, this is, of course. But like if
yeah,
somebody else is built on it and they're like, oh, these people are actually really cool and they have a good protocol, yeah, then things work. We have, for example, this project that we're doing streaming quadratic funding with Gitcoin, and then this is an amazing ambassador we have called Graven, and he's brought us like 2 or 3 other projects building in the grant space. We have verbs now with nouns, and they've just got like 200K funding from Nouns DAO. A bunch of other like projects like that just came out of nowhere, because some of our ambassadors were like, oh, this is exciting, you should try Superfluid.
So now that you mentioned this ambassador thing, what is an ambassador? Like that I build a project on Superfluid and I become an ambassador, or how can I be an ambassador?
Yeah, we don't really have a lot of ambassadors in the sense of like just people go in and promote Superfluid. The ambassadors we have that are engaged in working, they've built stuff on top of Superfluid. Like they've built stuff that they took to production in general. And those are the people that usually are obviously the best ambassadors, and also the people that like come to our ambassador calls and things like that. We're not necessarily trying to reach out like the biggest amount of ambassadors, just small, like 5, 6 that are really close.
Okay, that makes sense. And then, yeah, the last thing that I want you to share a little bit about my super shorts that I have here. So tell us a little bit about super boring and friends, alpha friends.
Oh, it's true. Yeah, so at Superfluid when I came, we had a protocol that was functioning. We had just gotten to the point where we have a protocol that's functioning with both pieces, money streaming and the distribution pools, completely audited, works well. Then it was like, okay, well, how do we bootstrap an ecosystem? Then we were like, okay, well, let's build apps. Let's show people. Let's showcase how we can bootstrap the ecosystem. Like you don't want to Dan Romero from Farcaster has this article that's amazing. It talks about how your killer app needs to be. You need to build your killer app. Like you need to build like Warpcast, right? Farcaster is a protocol. Warpcast is a client. So that's what we're trying to do. We built these 2 use cases. Alpha Friends is a socialfi app, uses money streaming. It's built on Farcaster social graph. I think we ran it like from 0 to 30,000 followers, I think, in a month, and like we've had like 15,000 beta active users at the peak. Today we have like 2,000-3,000 a day, which is great for socialfi. So yeah, so Alpha Friends uses money streaming for like subscriptions and stuff, and has cool mechanism with like alpha tokens that you earn when you subscribe, and then you can stake them on your favorite creators to earn back money, degen token and stuff like that. So that was really cool. And then we have Alpha Friend Super Boring today, which is a DCA app. So if you want a DCA, you can DCA every day, you can DCA every month, you can DCA every week, but you can also DCA every second, right? And so this is like sit and forget it. You start the stream and it just goes, starts DCAing. So it's just you want to DCA into Ethereum from USDC, you want DCA into Bitcoin or anything.
What is DCA?
DCA is dollar cost average. So some people dollar cost average into Bitcoin or like Ethereum every week. They buy a little bit. We do it for you. We buy every 10 minutes, whatever. But like all you have to do is start a small stream of money, and it's not custodial. So you don't want to lock. You don't need to lock capital. You can just slowly add money to your wallet. Like go check it out. It's superboring.xyz.
I didn't know that one. That's actually a really interesting one, like the DCA.
Yeah.
I do that a lot. Okay, that's amazing. That's that real use case and really useful. Okay, I don't know, guys, if any of you have any question, something to say. I think that's like everything from our side. Yeah, I think that's someone. Okay, perfect. So yeah, Yusuf, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate that.
I appreciate
I'm going to publish the recording in a couple of hours, make a tweet. And yeah, we really appreciate your time, your experience, and I'm sure that now we learn more about Superfluid. Okay, Mashudu, amazing. Yeah, feel free to say something. Oh, Mashudu? Oh, I think he was going to send an emoji, maybe. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Oh, Gideon. Okay. Or you're going to send an emoji too.
No, I have a question.
Yeah?
Yeah, I have a question.
Hey, sorry, can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah, wait. Let's wait for Gideon and then Mashudu can do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Gideon.
Okay, my question was I've been in the crypto ecosystem for like
The Bluetooth device is ready to.
okay,
Yeah, you
sorry.
got a machine. Yeah.
Okay, I've been in the crypto ecosystem for like 2 years now, but I've been like jumping from one ecosystem to another. I've done Cardano, I've done Polkadot, I've done Ethereum, but I'm trying to see for like a dev. If you want to be like a DevRel, you said someone has to be diverse. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I'm sorry, I didn't get.
You said as a DevRel, you have to be like
Yeah.
ready to adapt to change quickly. So
Yeah.
is it good to you for you to have like understand Cardano, Ethereum, Solana, and all such?
I think it's important for a certain amount of protocols. So if you're going to work in the cross-chain space, for example, yeah, that's appreciated. If you're going to work in Ethereum, in like on Ethereum projects, nah, I don't think that they care. I think it shows that you're adaptable. That's nice, but I don't think it's like a primary concern.
Okay, yeah. And another general question now. What do you have to say about auditing now, blockchain auditing?
Auditing?
Yeah, like generally, just a general.
As a job or like as a...
Yeah, both as a job and the learning curve.
Yeah, I honestly I don't have experience in as an auditor, like or security engineer and anything. I think it's a cool space to be at. You see a lot of smart contracts. It's cool. Is it useful for protocols? I don't know. That's a whole different debate. But yeah, it's a cool place. I like auditing. I was actually interviewing for Immunify at some point for before I joined Superfluid, and it was interesting. I talked to the Immunify people. I had like 2-3 interviews, and they had that really cool stuff happening there. So yeah.
Okay, I was asking that because I'm trying to learn auditing, and I can say the learning curve is a little bit hard because there's no enough resources that you get directly. I
Yeah.
try to reach to like people like Spearbit, and they're more like they are not that open to like for a beginner. That is not generally friendly for like a general beginner.
Yeah, it's not, and it's very competitive too, right? Like all of these bounties, it's like if you get the bounty, someone else is not going to get it. So people are not going to give you their little. And also, don't believe too much these people on Twitter. Like there are all of these like new auditors that are like making, I don't know, ungodly amounts of money every year or from auditing. A lot of them are lies. Some of them are real, but yeah, just don't be too harsh on yourself. And I guess just take it slowly. You don't have not no one's. I assume you're young, or even if you're not, who cares? You have the time, so
Yeah.
don't push.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's true. Actually wanted to add two things there. So for the first thing that you say about the ecosystems, if I were you, I would just try to focus on two ecosystems. Like just try to pick up two, maybe Polkadot and Ethereum, or Ethereum and Solana, that you are good enough at those two, and just try to get into those two, right? Like maybe a project in Solana as a DevRel, or maybe a project in Ethereum. But yeah, maybe learning a lot. At the end, you will just know a little bit of
Yeah.
everything. Maybe it's just better to specialize a little bit more, but not to narrow into only one. So yeah, that's...
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
On that, I'm also trying. Now I'm trying to focus on Ethereum and Polkadot. Yeah.
And those two are really good. To be honest, Ethereum, Polkadot, and Solana, these are my favorite one. And Bitcoin, I haven't explored Bitcoin at all, but yeah, so Joseph say, I think Bitcoin is really strong. They have the capital, so I think that should be a one that you can add to your portfolio.
On Bitcoin, I tried to look at they tried to introduce I like their approach on NFTs, the ordinals.
Oh.
Their new idea on layer 2s, but I'm not really good in Bitcoin that much.
Yeah, I think it just one. Honestly, just like start with one ecosystem already. Like if you learn something really good, that's your entry point. Then the rest will come later.
Yeah, that's true. And as you say, the entry point, I think that's the hardest thing. Once you get the entry point, it's really easy to jump around, but just get the entry point and then you will get it. So yeah,
Okay.
that's important.
Okay. And also you said you have worked with Moonbeam on Polkadot, right?
Yeah, I did.
Is it good for you to focus on Polkadot itself, for you to learn Polkadot, or focus on one parachain?
Well, here's the thing. Moonbeam is an EVM, so it doesn't change much from the EVM ecosystem.
Okay. And for Polkadot, do you have to learn Rust because I see they are using Substrate?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, if you love Polkadot and if you're interested in the ecosystem, and if go for it. But it's a hard ecosystem. So it's like it's not a lot of opportunities there as much as there's like in Ethereum and in Solana, for example.
Yeah, the thing I love about them is that they have the Polkadot Blockchain Academy is a very great education program, and if you want to do more on cryptography, like you said, they are very conversant with that.
Yeah, it's cool. I love Polkadot. The tech is impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Gideon. Oh, yeah, and then for the second thing, to learn smart contract security, I think Cypher is the trending like course now. So yeah, yeah, Cypher Aftra. So yeah, just check that out too. I'm sure if you do that course, like really focus in 1-2 weeks, whatever that the course is, like the length, you will be really kind of ready to start playing around in Code for Arena or auditings or things like that. So yeah.
I've done the ciphering one, but I was looking for the in also in auditing there's some math you have to understand. That's the part now I'm trying to learn now. Some mathematics behind it there.
Okay, perfect. And Mashudu, you have something to ask, to say?
Yeah, but this is if you have the time still, because I have no sort of technical background. I found the conversation very interesting. My background is more in consulting and stuff, but I've just been thinking about pivoting into Web3. So my question is more around getting started. I don't know if my background really does matter, but I'm more interested in just understanding how you guys would approach like getting started if you didn't have a technical background in 2024. Yeah.
I'd say, I mean, it depends, right? Like, what do you have? What else do you have in your life happening, right? Like, you have kids, you have a family. Like, it's if you have a lot of
my risk appetite is quite high. I don't have any crazy responsibilities right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have rent.
But that's not.
I have a project I'm working on in like consulting that can pay my bills for the next few months and stuff. So I can make the sacrifice of just like diving deep into like exploring, but like I want to just understand how to approach it right, because I don't want to just haphazardly go into it and then just end up with nothing.
Of course. So you have no technical background, as in like, were you like scientific in high school? That's also important. Like, do you have any?
Yeah, my background is in finance, studied investment management and banking. I mean, I did a bit of data science after that, but like I didn't dabble much into that. I just did it for my studies. So we did a lot of data camp when I was at the academy. So this was after my undergrad. Worked predominantly in consulting and research. So I haven't really.
Yeah, I mean, so you do have some technical background, right? Like, it's not because for someone who's ever like been completely like just doing like, I don't know, literature studies in high school, and then so you talk about linear function, they don't even know what is a linear, so that's different, right? So you do have some technical background, so that's great. And I think, I mean, I don't know, there's no secret, obviously. You just gotta go and find like the courses that work for you, and like maybe a boot camp that works for you, and they like hammer down on the code like day after day, day after day, day after day. More about like the methodology, because I have no idea, and you would know better for yourself. Everyone is different. It's more about like the motivation, right? Like, do you really hate what you do now to the point where like you're motivated to put in all the time on the side so that you can pivot? If not, then the question is like, alternatively, like, do you really love blockchain so much that you're willing to give a lot of sacrifices in the short term so that you can break into that? If not, then it's not going to work, right? Like, that's how life works. If it's too hard and you don't have the motivation for it, either like by having such a bad time now that you want to do anything to escape, or like having such a good time when you were working blockchain that you would be willing to do anything to just go there, it's just not going to work from a motivation standpoint. Like, your body knows, it's like, I'm not going to, this is not interesting to me.
Makes sense. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mashudu and Joseph, for talking about that interesting getting started roadmap too. Yeah, I think then that's everything. Thank you so much, Joseph, also for the extra time. Really appreciate your time on a Saturday, which is really valuable. Okay, Gideon, something short. It's too late now.
No, sorry for that.
That's fine. Joking. Oh yeah, but are you going to ask something? Gideon?
No, I
Oh,
think he
okay.
just wanted to do emoji.
I was going to send an emoji too. Yeah, that happened to me a lot too. Okay, so yeah, now we can just wrap up the call. Thank you so much, guys, for attending today. I'm going to publish the recording in a few minutes. And Pascal, okay. Oh, that was an emoji too. Just remove it. Yeah. Okay, so we'll see you around in a couple of weeks. And people in Nigeria, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, everyone. Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye.